Oh,
Now
there
we're
we
live.
go.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm Bear,
Malin.
and we're hanging out. Today we're sitting here with Josh Hash, good friend, great illustrator. What's going on, Josh?
Not much. Josh, everything's going good.
Oh, I'm getting that double audio.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, I'm hearing feedback.
Anyway,
It's fine.
Do I need to rejoin? I can refresh.
we're good to go.
You're
Josh, Alan, Bear. We got Josh here. He is hardcore freelance illustrator. I had the good chance to meet this guy. He's not just a good artist, but I think he kind of embodies our mission here in the fact that I was sitting at a bar, kind of few beers in, and the man pulled out a Surface Pro and began to describe his whole process to me. So, super helpful dude. We're glad to have him on the show.
Yeah. A weirdly, I don't know if I'm being truly honest, but a weirdly successful artist with little recognition, right?
I prefer it that way.
Oh, really?
That way
That's another thing.
Well, when I screw up, I don't have to worry about the crowds being like, "Oh, this guy's a hack."
Oh,
We're working with a super humble guy, and I think that's important moving forward here. But
so we're here to talk about self-made artist, and the reason that I called it that is because Josh, you have the unique problem of never having taken any of the usually successful roads into the illustration business, right?
I guess not. I mean, I know what
Did you? Well, I mean,
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, just tell us about that a little bit. Like, you didn't go to art school, right?
yeah, where did you start, education-wise, coming out of high school into college? What was your path there?
Well, I've always drawn and painted stuff, and my parents kind of encouraged that. And I'd taken there were somewhat private art lessons when I was younger. It was mainly just you show up and you draw. It wasn't any kind of instruction by anyone who was skilled in the craft of illustration. So it's all pretty much self-taught. And then I went to college for here in Oklahoma at a small school for graphic design, and quickly realized that's not going to get me what I want. And at the time while I was there, I was also working at a comic book studio in Oklahoma, doing like color flats and just whatever random crap they would throw at me for the day. And I was thinking to myself, well, I'm already moving into that industry. I don't really need a degree. I don't want to pay the school to teach me nothing, because the art program at the school I was at was pretty crummy.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some good artists there, and the teachers were good artists, but there wasn't the instruction to actually craft art. It was just like, do what makes you feel something, that kind of stuff, which is okay, but it's not where I wanted to go. So I got kind of pragmatic with it and tried to think, what's a good use for a degree? And I went to accounting because I knew I could get a job with that, and I knew I wouldn't be wasting my degree if I got an accounting degree, or wasting my money, I mean. So that's my education experience. Business.
Yeah.
The whole time you were still working on art, though.
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, I've never quit drawing or anything like that. And I have friends online who are writers and stuff, and they'd always ask me to do covers and stuff for them. I wasn't really good at the time when they're asking me to do this, but it kept me motivated, because it's easy to keep drawing and stuff when someone's willing to throw money at you. But it's hard. It's hard when you suck and no one wants to pay you. So
Definitely.
Yeah, and now you're working as an accountant and also doing freelance for Magic the Gathering now.
Yep.
Where do you? I mean, how does that work? Because most people would be like, "Oh yeah, I got this full-time job. I can't wait to get out of it so I can focus on art and get into Magic." But you're doing them both at the same time. How is that possible? How did that happen?
Well, it started when my first child was born. Because I had the full-time job and stuff, and it was like, all right, I've got a family now, I'll just focus on this. But I mean, after I got married, that was my train of thought. But after my first kid was born, I was like, man, I'm getting old, and I've done nothing that I really want to, like, I haven't achieved any bucket list items here. And I always wanted to work for Magic the Gathering, because I played the game when I was young and always drew from the cards. It was just something that was really cool. So I wanted to do that as well. So after my first kid was born, I just doubled down and started creating a portfolio that was basically card compositions. And I just kept doing that, beating my head on the desk just till I got better at it. And that was what I was going to send to Wizards again and again and again. Eventually, it worked. I had to meet them in person, but I don't know if they read their emails or not, but.
Right, the great myth. So I guess creating a timeline there, you come out of school, you start working professionally. There's a marriage in there somewhere, and then you have a kid, and then you start developing this portfolio. I think what I'd like to illustrate to people is your goals in this was that passion to create a card for Magic the Gathering. Like, I've met a lot of artists who they want to be an artist and they want to develop a portfolio of work behind them, but they don't really have an end goal. When I met you, you described having a very specific goal in mind that you work towards.
Yeah, that's right.
I still can't get behind having a wife, kid, family job and you illustrate mostly on the weekends, right?
Yeah, weekends. I'll start around 7, 8 o'clock and work till about 3 in the morning. So,
See, that's
wait, what? At PM?
Yep.
On the weekends.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's right.
And if no one's seen Josh's work, go over to joshhass.com. They're really engaging pieces and they're really incredible pieces, but just picture this is a weekend work when you see these final pieces. It's
my ArtStation portfolio is that's got more recent stuff on there.
ArtStation.
The stuff on my website is actually the portfolio I put together to actually get work at Wizards.
And if that doesn't motivate you, then I can't help you.
Yeah, I think we're done here. Yeah, I actually
will go draw.
Well, yeah, it's man, it's the weekend. I gotta get started apparently.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process there of building your portfolio and the time and the effort and the practice that went into that for those specific pieces, especially for Magic the Gathering?
I don't remember where I saw it. I think the guy's name was Tristan Airwall. It was on conceptart.org. And he said that he was just talking to someone else in a thread. And if you're going to work for a company, you've got to be as good or better than everyone there. So my strategy for building the portfolio for Wizards was just to look at the current artwork they had at the time and try to do something comparable to that. I didn't want to copy them.
Right.
Because I don't know if if they want all their artists to be pretty much the same. I don't feel like I'm the same as a lot of their artists, so I don't think that's it. But I just tried to make something that I would want to see on a card. After I put the illustrations together, I even shrunk them down and put it on cards and printed them out, see what they'd look like, turn them upside down and put them across the table and see like how well the compositions read from a distance and stuff like that. Just really trying to get in there and figure out what would these art directors be looking for in this artwork. I'm
gonna step it back. How did you learn to paint? Like from when you decided you wanted to be an accountant, you weren't still taking those art lessons in college. What were you doing?
Well, my minor in my college years was studio art. So I still had some life drawing classes and stuff like that, and some painting classes. So I never just quit art. Just left it completely. I just didn't want to pay for a degree in art.
So I guess the question from there is, you had that fine art training. When did you make the switch to digital and start teaching yourself in that format? When
I joined that comic book studio.
Oh, okay.
During my college days, that's all they worked in was digital stuff on old Macs, and I just picked it up from there.
And did you seek out like tutorials or other people's processes?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if conceptart.org existed at the time, but there was a forums called Sijun forums. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just some Asian dude that lived here in the U.S. that started forums, and the bulletin forums were relatively new to the internet at the time, and his just took off. And there was all kinds of professional illustrators in there, concept artists, posting tutorials and just how they do it, and I learned a lot just browsing the internet from them. So,
and you talk a lot about that, like old master work too, right?
Yeah, I like to break down compositions of some of the older stuff. I learned that, and I'll give my school some credit. The art teacher there did teach us how to take an old composition and kind of break down the elements that work. And use those. I'm not always successful at that now because I've kind of forgotten everything he taught me. But
Well, I think that's a big takeaway. Is you're seeking not only modern practices and processes, but you're also comparing it with what the masters did, and you developing your own style from both. Which I run into a lot of people who are so devoted to just buying every digital tutorial they can, and then neglecting everything else that came before them.
Yeah.
And you can see it in their work. It just kind of produces this stale copy of whatever the current trend is.
Yeah. What I'm constantly blown away by this. What were some of the goals that kept you going? So you're an accountant, you've got a family, right? And but the art that you were doing, the portfolio you were building was not currently making you any money, right?
No, not at all.
How did you keep yourself driven through that when you have a job that is and something that isn't?
Well, like I mentioned, the big thing was when my first son was born, and I hadn't done anything with my art that I wanted to do. So I just was determined to double down on it. I don't know. Maybe I've got like some kind of brain disorder, and I can just really.
No, it's not a disorder.
I have autism. I'm autistic. I don't really know how to answer that.
Was it like
No,
more? You kind of did. Was it a little bit of an anxiety, like, oh, I'm not an artist yet, or I'm not a.
That's a lot of it, yeah.
And you're suddenly at this moment where you have a family and a kid, and things are getting more and more profound, and you're like, oh, I need to paint now because otherwise I might not.
Yeah, getting married is a big step for a lot of people, but having your first kid really starts putting things into perspective, and that's when it really hit me. It's like I need to do something. So
I love it. From the time you started building that portfolio, how long would you say it took until that started to take off for you?
I started working for Wizards in 2015. So my son was born in 2010. So from 2010 to 2014, it was nothing but just doing little side projects for some of the writers I knew, and then building on that portfolio.
Well, you worked for Kobold Press. Which is where I think I and a lot of people came into your work. Right? Was that Kobold Press?
It's Kobold Press, yeah.
Kobold Press, and you did a bestiary for them for a while.
Yeah, I did a lot of little internal illustrations for Kobold Press, probably like 30, maybe 40.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
I need to go back and look at those, but all weekend work again. Like I try to knock out two a weekend at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was in that time span between 2010 and 2015. So probably 14 to 15, I started working for Kobold Press. So there was a point in there where I actually started getting some compensation for the artwork.
Yeah, but compared to like the job you had or what you get paid now for art, it's nothing against Kobold Press. They're a great company that pays their art as well as they can, but it's nothing compared to what you could and would get.
Right. Hasbro is just so much bigger than Kobold Press that they can't compete. So Kobold Press can't compete. Sorry. Hasbro, you're junk.
I had a question. Alan, what was your question?
I didn't have a question. I was waiting on you. It's a little difficult to comprehend because I remember being in art school and asking somebody, I said, I'm feeling the pressure, bills coming up, or I get tired of not having as much money, and even after. And I remember asking a professor who had, when he got out of art school, got a separate job, and he said, stay away from a real job if you can do it, stay away from a real job as long as possible, and make leaps and bounds in your art. What advice would you have given a younger me? Would it have been like that, or would it have been like what you did?
I don't know. As far as school goes, I recommend people to be very pragmatic about what they spend their money on, because it's kind of turned into like a really good profit center for financial institutions to just churn these degrees out, whether they're going to get you anywhere or not.
That's something I think Bear and I feel very strongly about.
And I kind of pat myself on the back for realizing that early on. I don't know if I had a conversation with someone when I was at school, and that kind of helped me get there. But I switched degrees and came out with something that would get me work immediately, so I could survive to do artwork. I don't know if I've answered your question at all.
Kind of. I mean, it's clearly worked out for you, something that a lot of people don't think is possible. Because how old are you?
I'm 34.
34, and now you're doing professional work on the weekends for, yeah, what was it, 2014, right? You started doing magic, so wow.
I back to I think what your original question was, what advice would I give a younger you?
Yeah.
Were you like drawing all the time, painting all the time, or was it just a?
Yeah, painting's kind of my life.
Alan was always in the studio.
I'm an 8 hours a day kind of guy.
See, I got a lot of there's that 10,000 hours type thing. I don't know if that's real or not, but I got a lot of my painting and drawing in before I even got to college. Like that's all I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that put me in a place that was good to start. I don't know.
Well, so you're saying you already felt pretty confident in your skill set?
Like my draftmanship skills, just drawing in general, not necessarily nothing with the digital stuff because that didn't exist yet. But yeah, I felt like I had a good foundation to build on. I didn't need the college experience to build that foundation for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my art classes, I was already, performing at the level I thought they were trying to get me to. Like my teachers would be like, "Yeah, that's great." They wouldn't have any kind of feedback to give me.
And it's neat to see because we talked at Spectrum a lot. You don't really have any interest in like. You said you should be, but you don't really have any interest in like going to conventions and things because you're already making money from a job and doing pretty well as an artist anyway.
Right. The retail side of illustration for the convention circuit, I can't motivate myself to buy a bunch of product that I'm not sure I'll ever get rid of.
Right.
That's kind of
that might be the accountant in me speaking too.
Which is cool. Yeah, that's kind of neat because you don't. I mean, that just means more time painting for you. Mm-hmm. And if anybody's out there looking at your portfolio right now, you clearly don't. I don't know. You're not suffering at all from it.
From not doing conventions.
From not doing, I don't know, anything really. I mean,
yeah. That's from someone who went to Spectrum for the first time this year. That's something that I saw was a lot of artists that lived for the convention. And then there are artists like you, Josh, who obviously have your own clearly defined goals, and that's all you're interested in. And I think you produce a different body of work and sometimes a better body of work because you're not caught up in trying to sell your product to the general masses.
Right. My only customer right now is Wizards, and I just want to keep them happy. So.
And I love that. And in turn, you're making the customers of Wizards happy because you're making great cards.
Yeah, so I get requests for the artist proofs, and I have to kind of backtrack on the product thing. I do have one thing, the play mats. Mm-hmm. For the one card I have right now that's actually popular. People have requested play mats for that, so I was like, all right, I'll give this a spin. So I'll do a limited run of that, and we'll see how it goes. But I don't have any future plans for doing conventions or anything like that.
So I guess the main purpose, the big question is like, how do you juggle these things? You're doing the 7 to 3 illustrations and you're doing an 8 to 5 job on the weekdays. Where does family come in? And do you ever like wake up Monday morning to go to your 8 to 5 job and regret the late nights?
Yeah, every Monday sucks. it's pure hell. Just lots of coffee. But my wife is my wife is great. So she's why this works basically. She understands what I'm trying to do with the illustration on the weekends. It's just that much, a little bit extra to help her family save and stuff like that. So she sacrifices a lot to make it work for me.
That's great.
Do you ever keep going?
I just have to give her a lot of credit there.
I love it.
It really wouldn't work. If I was single and like I didn't have any kids and I just went from one job to the next, come home from work and just start painting right away, I think I can make it work still. But having like a family you've got to support and everything, it's like it's definitely a big team effort, and she makes the artwork happen basically.
Mm-hmm.
right? That's, as a fellow married man, that's something I've learned and appreciated greatly, is having a new support that I didn't have before, and it really is a crazy thing. Like, it lights a different fire under you.
Yeah.
So we're gonna advocate that everyone get married immediately.
Yeah, you have to be very, very picky about the person, though. You just have
extremely.
a list. Will you watch the kids while I do nothing but paint for hours on end? And
well, being an artist, that's another question I want to bring up, is whether your wife gets mad at you. But I want to also say that being an artist is an inherently selfish. You kind of have to be inherently selfish to do it.
Yeah. If the tablets and stuff, all the digital stuff didn't exist, it definitely wouldn't work, because I couldn't go to a studio and just paint, because with the tablets I can be downstairs with the kids, like right next to them, and painting, and I can
you don't
sit
have to seal yourself off.
Yeah, the technology makes it work too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I do know that it makes everyone angry when I'm painting, because my son will come up to me sometimes, and not to get a sad story or anything, but like, let's play, and he's insatiable. He wants to play all the time, and I have to tell him, no, I've got to work right now. And
it's understandable. I mean, I did the same thing to my dad when he was at home with work, and he'd be like, not right now. I'm trying to feed you.
Yeah.
Do you think you want your kids to follow, like, are they interested in your art at all? Are they
the older one, the new one's a newborn, so he can't do, his arms don't even function right now. They just flail around like he's constantly falling. But my 6-year-old, he likes to draw and stuff, and I'll show him. I showed him like on YouTube, where you can say like, how do I draw this? And you'll usually get a video showing you how to draw that. And he'll follow it, and he'll do the steps, so he can draw like Sonic, all his little favorite characters and stuff. He's not really good, but I hope he draws some. Mainly, I want him to be interested in all the nerdy stuff I am in. So we can.
How's that working out?
Not at all. I mean, he likes to play games like Minecraft and stuff like that. But I hate Minecraft, and he's not interested in D&D or any of the card games or anything like that yet. So.
Right. Well, at least you can start to influence that. I remember being 6 and playing Doom with my dad, sitting on his knee, shooting the gun while he moved the character around.
Doom.
Oh yeah, classic.
The video
game. Do
you
ever have time to mow the yard? Like, does that play into your life?
Yeah, where are like the other things?
Okay, so here's my weekly schedule. So Monday through Friday, it's up at 6, 7:30, whatever, and I get to work, come home around 5:36, and Friday nights I'll start painting it around 7:30 to 8, and I'll stay up till around 3. I kind of have like little. I need this much of the illustration done, this much real estate painted before I can go to bed, and I'll just force myself to get through it. Mm-hmm. And then I crash, and here's where my wife comes in. She'll keep the kids away from me so I can sleep until 10, 11 o'clock, and then I wake up and mow the yard. That's when I mow the yard, Alan.
That's...
And then, so somewhere around 10, in case you can't get a hold of me. And then I start painting again at 8 o'clock, and just start till whenever. And
so paintings, how long do they take you? About 1-2 weeks to finish a painting with that schedule?
Probably. Wizards gives me about a month to finish two illustrations.
To finish 2?
Yeah. So I just break it off in there, and sometimes I'll paint during the week, during like at lunch at work. So since I have the tablet I can paint on, I'll go across the street to a coffee shop or something and paint in there during lunch. So it's not, I don't have to do it all at home, but I have to be very very picky with what I do with my free time if I want to finish the illustrations.
Do your coworkers know about your painting?
Yeah, they think I'm weird. They're like, why are you here?
They don't know how much this doesn't pay.
They don't.
Yeah, so like so you don't have free time is what you're saying, actually.
No, not unless I just refuse to accept work. And sometimes I'll do that. I'll tell the art directors at Wizards I can only take one card for this cycle of cards, and and they know that I have a newborn and stuff like that. So
Right,
Well,
they're not gonna shut you off just because
Right.
you neglect one. Yeah.
right, I think as long as you hit your deadlines with Wizards, they won't get rid of you.
do you keep it that steady where you're doing on average 2 cards a month every
Yeah,
month?
but yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
anytime they offer work, I try to do at least 2 or 3. So
That's something I think a lot of people would like to know, is that it is possible to have a job and do 2 Magic cards a month as well, and that's with revisions too.
yeah.
Do you ever have trouble with revisions? Do you have to, what is it like being a Magic artist? We've never talked to a Magic artist on here.
I like it. It's it's a cool product to work on. A lot of people play it. It's been around for a long time, so there's that aspect to it. I played it when I was younger, so I really wanted to get into the art side of it as well.
I think it's got this little bit of an idea of fame or infamy, because everyone kind of wants to work for Wizards, or a lot of people do. But it's not the kind of fame where people point at you on the street. So do you have any stories of I don't know, being a more famous artist now?
I don't think I'm famous at all. There is nothing special about me.
I think that if you went to like an artist signing or something like that, you would probably have a lot of people lining up. Or like, that's another thing. You don't go to conventions, so you don't know like which of your cards are extremely popular.
I'm just missing out. The only convention I get invited to is this one in Italy, and I'm pretty certain it's like a sex trafficking thing, and they want my body. They're not interested in the artwork at all.
At least you get to go to Italy.
They offered to pay for the flight and everything. I'm just like, this is too good to be true.
What convention is that? So we can go.
I'll look it up and post it in the comments of this on YouTube.
That'll work. We'll all go together. And
all right. Yeah,
we'll
if I have to be abused, then you guys should be as well. So
what's weird is I think Todd was invited to a convention and he's going
to Italy.
To Italy, yeah.
And maybe it's the same one.
I'll let him know.
Hey, we'll see what happens to Todd, and then we'll figure it out from there. If we could go back and you could tell us a little bit about the process of actually getting with Wizards in the first place. We talked about your portfolio, but how about the process of submitting?
Yeah, did you feel after you submitted the 20,000th time, were you like, oh, maybe this won't work out, and then you had to meet them? Yeah,
I realized that I don't think anyone was reading the art drop emails that they have on their website. I can't say that for certain. I'm sure someone is eventually, but I bet they get a crap ton of email. Mm-hmm. And it's just after looking at the 50th portfolio submission for that week, it's just noise to them, and it's not anything that's going to get their attention. So and I don't remember where I initially read it. It might have been Muddy Colors, but I heard about Spectrum, and it mentioned that they invite art directors from the various companies there. So I'm just like, heck, I'll just go there. I'm going to meet someone eventually. And it turned out that one of the Wizards art directors, the D&D one specifically, was going to be there. It wasn't John Shindahedi, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah.
Anyways, it was another person, and I can't remember her name because I only talked to her that one time.
Her name, Dawn?
No, it wasn't Dawn. Dawn Murin.
Murin, that's it.
No, she was for the Magic the Gathering.
Huh. Well, I don't know.
God, I can't remember what her name. It started with an R, but anyways, wherever you're at, Mrs. R. Thanks for interviewing my looking at my portfolio and everything. But I met her at Spectrum, and I told her I think I'm ready for work with you all, and she's like, all right, I'm going to be extremely hard on your portfolio then. And it's like perfect, because that's what I need. I need some good feedback. And she started looking through there, and she didn't say a thing the whole time. It was just like, oh, this is not going to be good. And at the end, she's like, well, you're ready for work. So that was my breakthrough, I think.
That sounds like a really good way to approach an art director. I think I'm ready for work for you. and it kind of begs the question, like, prove me wrong.
It shows confidence as an artist.
It seemed to work out.
So would you encourage people to go to shows like Spectrum if they're just trying to get their foot in the door like that?
Well, Spectrum's a hit or miss because it's not, the convention isn't consistent. It's like the way it's laid out and who comes and as far as art directors and stuff, each year is kind of different. It's not always the same group of people. Like this last year, I don't know if they had, I think I saw 2 art directors doing portfolio reviews. And the one where I got work with Magic, there was like 15 of them. And it was like an organized event thing. You know, you have to reserve time with the art director to get the portfolio reviews. It was set up perfectly. And you just have to read about the Spectrum lineup, what they've got going on, and pick and choose, you know, which one you want to go to.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to, like, I went to, I think I missed the sign up for Spectrum the year that you and I went, the first year before Bear was there. But that same year, no, the year after, in 2016, I went to Gen Con, and actually, because the art directors were like on the floor and you didn't have to schedule anything, I got a lot more recognition and work there than I ever did from Spectrum. So yeah, you definitely have to like scope it out and, you know, deal with your strengths and things like that. Yeah. I really want to get you at like a Gen Con or something like that, because I honestly think you would be surprised at the benefits of it.
Well, I can't take a lot of work on. That's the problem. So just kind of a one.
But you could like sell prints. Like if I did.
You mean do like a conventional convention.
Yeah, like if you made a booth and printed prints and then sold them, I think that you would come out of that weekend with a good profit, for instance.
Maybe one day.
It's all about that.
I want to know, and everyone wants to know. You know what? Maybe it's good that you're not there, so you're not taking everybody's. You know, there's a chance for other people. So that's fine.
You guys you're putting me on a pedestal that's made of air right now.
I think when people look at your work, they're gonna think differently. That's what I like about you. You're extremely humble. So yeah.
Great job, guys. Well, that's the thing. We're fortunate enough to have a little Facebook group going that I never post in, but I watch these guys post in, where we all kind of critique each other, and we're able to watch Josh's work come to life from sketch to color study to final product. And that's one reason I respect you, Josh, is you're really willing to share all of that. And does that play into your philosophy as an artist at all? I mean,
yeah, that's how I learned, just from all the people who are just willing to share stuff for free on the internet. Because I didn't do the art school route, so I didn't learn anything. I learned some stuff in school doing, you know, traditional art classes, but I didn't learn anything about illustration. All that was learned online through like Greg Manchess stuff that he put out. I learned a lot from him.
The hardcore stuff.
And then that SciGen forums I mentioned, I need to check and see if it still exists, but I learned a crap ton from them.
Huh. Yeah, that's weird. We didn't talk to him. We were listening to, was it Dave Raposa learned a lot from forums and things like that. Like everyone who the generation before us, just that was where it was, the art forums.
And now that I think that's part of this new generation of digital artists that are making all these tutorials and trying to put the information out there.
I've made a couple of tutorials to try to contribute to it. I've never got any feedback on them if they're useful or not. So
well, look, where can people get those tutorials? Let's put that out there.
I'll have to put them back up on the internet now. It's been a while since I think I put them on CGTalk.org or CGSociety.org. That's where I originally put them. So you can try searching for them there, but I'll put them on my Facebook page.
Yeah, I thought you had Facebook albums with them, but maybe I was wrong.
No, they could be there.
Everybody, go to Josh Hass's Facebook.
That's something I want to point out, is that your technique is absurdly different than well, not really. So you do a thumbnail, a sketch, a color study, and then a final, right?
Basically, yep.
But and that sounds really traditional as to what other people do, but that it's so like much more out of the water than that. Like Josh's color study could be the finished painting, and then you ghost it back and paint over it again.
Yeah. So once I get the color study done, and this is what I've learned from kind of what the old masters would do. Sometimes they paint something several times, the same painting again and again. And so my color study, I try to solve all the problems up front. Like when I'm actually doing the final, I don't want to have to come across something and it ruin the illustration because I can't fix this. So I want no surprises after the color study. Basically, I only want good things to happen in the final. Just getting all the little gritty details in there and stuff like that, and the painterly fill. My color study doesn't have the painterly fill, and sometimes it doesn't have a lot of detail either. But the design is final. The colors are somewhat final, and the values are there. Just they're roughed in, but there's enough there for me to just jump into the final with no worries that this is going to fail. So that's kind of where my process evolved to. And I kind of the way I currently work. Greg Manches's Above the Timberline DVD. I bought that a while back, and he the way before he started his painting, I don't know if he does any kind of preliminary work. I can't remember if he showed any in that DVD or not, but he had this brown tone surface, and he did his drawing on it, and the dude would just paint straight on there, like he has this color study in his head, and that's kind of what I do. After I have my color study, I tone it like a sepia color, and I'll paint on top of that by using the eyedropper on the color study to grab the value color combination I need. And then I paint on the sepia version, and I let that sepia color show through here and there to kind of give it a more traditional feel.
And that's so different than what you would think, because if you're only painting on weekends, you'd think like, oh, you want to go really fast, but that's like that's a very kind of slow method.
Yeah, it was starting out, but I've gotten really fast at it. So
how really? So you get a color study done in like a day?
Yeah, a color study doesn't take hardly any time at all. The initial drawing and the value stage is the one that's actually the most anxiety filled for me, because that's where it fails for me. If this drawing just sucks and if the values just never happen.
But your drawings are really technical.
Yeah, that's
too.
Yeah. Solely
and they
for the
come up
purpose
fast.
Just solely for the purpose of solving all problems up front. Like each step has to be doing something for me. I don't even do it. If my thumbnails, sometimes I don't even do those. I just compose the illustration in the camera as I'm doing my references and stuff, because the camera is solving more for me than my crappy thumbnails. So if it's not contributing anything to the end result, I just cut it out for the sake of speed and just to get the most useful out of the step.
You mentioned reference photos, and so that's the real reason you started a family, right? Because the older your kids get, the better your reference will get.
Yep.
Because you can pose your wife and kids in front of the camera, right?
Yep. My wife's been in a couple of magic cards already.
Well,
really?
Yep.
I think that plays into this whole self-made artist concept, because you showed us, or at least you talked about your references for one of your paintings, and you said it was just you hanging on the back of a couch in the living room. And that was the pose for the horse, a man riding a horse, and like
it was a girl riding a horse.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to go out and get all these models and fancy photo studios. Like, go in your living room and hop on the couch and take some pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it helps to have all that. I mean, like I said, you want each step of your process to contribute to the end goal, and if you have the money and the time and the props to do a really good photo shoot, you've solved a lot of problems right there. Whereas I have to figure that out in the drawing step. My reference wouldn't contribute to that.
You said that like we were putting you on a pedestal of air, and that, as far as like being known or being famous, that might be a little true. But as far as like painting things, I mean, that's not true at all. You have like somehow stumbled on this thing where you can create success from. So for instance, before I had a professional lighting set or a good camera to work from, it was extremely difficult for me to capture the things I wanted in illustration. It was a constant struggle, and I now have to like hire models because that's part of my process, get the right costumes. And you were like, I work on the weekends and I just hang on to a couch, and that's that.
Yeah.
Well, it's this no excuses attitude that I love so much. Like, don't have a model, I'm the model. Don't have the time, I'm staying up till 3 a.m.
Yeah, how do you do? Yeah, what is when 7 o'clock hits, what gets you off the couch to go do before you were getting paid? I mean, like, what? We kind of mentioned it, but still, like, it's still amazing to me.
It's just having a family to support is the motivator.
It's just like, I have to do this now.
Yeah, basically, there's no choice. Like, if I don't wake up and go to work, they'll find someone who will, and then I'll lose my home.
That's an easy way.
Where are you on the accomplishment scale right now? I mean, you have a newborn child. You're doing 2 cards a month every month. How do you feel success-wise?
I would like my other career to be progressing, like my illustration one is. But I've been doing it for about 10 years, the accounting, financial planning side. And
feel free to talk about that.
I'm ready for it to grow some as well. But I don't know. I'm satisfied. Basically, that's why I keep doing it.
Satisfied as an artist?
Yeah, I enjoy working, doing what I do. It's nerdy stuff. It's just fun to draw and paint, and it's with the company it was one of my end goals to work for.
That's fine.
So you never want to switch from being an accountant to being a full-time artist? Like, that's not your dream?
Maybe one day, yeah. That's maybe a retirement goal.
A retirement goal?
Early retirement goal, maybe, you know. I'd like to retire when I'm 50 or something.
I think that's totally possible, the path you're on. Especially being so smart with money.
Yeah, your job is so outrageously different than what you're doing as from what you're here talking about.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you actually do, Josh.
I deal drugs.
Oh, okay.
Well, see you next week, guys.
That's why 7 to 3 p.m. I get it, and that's what keeps you going. Okay, man.
It's all the drugs.
Okay.
You know, right now I'm a financial planner and accountant and a quasi IT role at an energy company here in Oklahoma.
Mm.
So that's what I do. That's my day job. And then I come home and draw and paint.
We've tiptoed around. Does that work? Are you satisfied with that work too? I mean, is that just a source of income, or do you also enjoy it in a way?
I enjoy it because it's a very, very analytical job, and I like getting down into stuff like that.
I like that. You're playing 2 very different roles here.
And they feed into each other. I mean, the business stuff helps with the business side of illustration, and the thinking outside the box in illustration helps with the business side when I'm back at the energy company.
What's an example of where your business side has helped with your illustration? Because that's something a lot of people are interested in.
Visual presentation on a lot of the outputs of financial planning is lost to people, and that's an area where I can look at something and be like, no one is going to get what you're presenting to them because it's just gobbled. It's just a big mess of information. You've got to make it, the information kind of compositionally flow, sort of. And I don't use those words with them because they wouldn't get what I'm saying, but you guys might. If you want someone to look at a specific number, you've got to do something to highlight it. So I mean, it's just simple things like that is a way where illustration can feed into the accounting side. But and I don't know, it's hard to explain really.
But the business side feeding into illustration, I mean, you've never had to like negotiate contracts or things like that to great success?
No, not really. I mean,
no.
I mean, I have. I don't know what it's like to do that without my background in accounting and financial planning.
Mm.
I couldn't.
Okay. Here's an example. I can sometimes feel timid about offering a different number to a client. Do you do that, or do you just start throwing numbers out?
I tell them exactly what I want, and if they don't want it, then I don't want it either.
Really? So there's no bargaining. You're like, I want, whatever, $5,000, and if they don't give it to you, you just say, all right.
Yeah.
So I think I see where it plays in. Your knowledge of financial planning. I mean, not many artists can even scratch the surface of that, but you're able to manage your money and your contracts in the way that you want and directly. And
you budget for yourself, right? And your career and your family, because.
Yeah. So I know what I need basically, and if we can't, the client and myself can't get there, then I have to move on.
And when you say what you need, you're thinking about like your monthly budget.
Right. Correct. Yep.
Wow. That's neat. Is that something that you would say other artists should be doing anyway?
Definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. being financially conscious?
It's hard to do because if we don't have an 8 to 5 job and then somebody walks along and is like, hey, I'll pay you $100 to paint my portrait, it can be very difficult to say no, right?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, the work like that, it's mainly a time budget when I can accept work like that. Because like right now, I'm getting a lot of requests to draw on magic cards, the artist proofs, and I get more requests than I can accept simply because I don't have time. It's like I either draw on the back of a magic card or I illustrate a new one. So
Right.
I have to decide which is going to benefit me in the end.
Well, you got to be doing some really intense drawings on the back.
How does drawing on the artist proof work? Are you just doing a sketch or doing?
Yeah, I mean it's not just, it's kind of it's a drawing. I wouldn't call it just a sketch.
Yeah.
Because my sketches look like crap. It's just scribbles and stuff. You know, it makes sense to me, but not to anyone else. And I'll just ask them, what do you want on there? And sometimes they say I don't care. Sometimes they say something specific. And
how much do you charge for that?
For like $40 for a sketch.
Oh, well, nice. I would like one, but I want it to be self-portrait.
Okay. Of you or me?
Of you.
Okay. All right.
It can't be a self-portrait of Bear.
I've got a space right here. Print screen.
Oh, okay. You can do that while we finish up the podcast.
All right. Now, I've got some excellent nudes of myself that I could totally put on the back of a card. So.
Just one leg in the air, just looking off into the distance.
Send me a bill.
The wine glass.
You talked about your motivation being from kind of a I had to standpoint, but I want anyone watching this now or in the future to understand, like, you have a full-time job and you did art full-time in the time that you had outside of your job. Like, this is a possibility. You don't have to be a coffee shop lackey and then paint willy-nilly whenever you can. Like, you can actually study, get a real job, and then pursue art. You just have to have the dedication to do it.
Yeah, just hard. It's hard work.
That's so cool. I think I really like that somebody came on anywhere in the world and said, hey, if you were thinking about going to art school, you might want to think about that business degree instead.
Mm-hmm. That's
like
something that I wish I had had before going to college even.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hindsight's 2020, but if we can pass that knowledge on to other people, I think that's great.
Yeah, I actually am a huge advocate for telling people not to go to art school if they can't, if they're like in a money tight situation or have trouble with things like that. Like, I really appreciate what I learned in art school, but at the same time, I wish I'd gone to business school and gotten my minor like you did. Because I was learning a lot of my stuff in my free time too.
Yeah, the dynamics for studying art have just changed completely with the internet and everything like that. Like, you don't have to go to an atelier. I mean, I would love to do that still, but you don't have to do like the old, have a patron that's gonna pay for you to go to art school and because it's all on the internet now. You can study anything you want.
Well, even then, as I was a college athlete and I had teammates that they double majored, they got a major and a graduate degree, and they did either of those things in 4 years while also competing and training. Like, anything's possible as long as you just have that time management and dedication.
Yeah. And then a smart school. I'd like to do stuff like that too. Maybe one day when I get some free time that I don't have. But yeah, the stuff like that is leaps and bounds more beneficial than the like getting a liberal arts degree.
Yeah, Alan's living proof of that.
So I mean, if your goal is illustration, there might be programs and traditional college experiences geared towards illustration, but they didn't exist when I was there.
Well, I know, like, I think I talked to Tyler Jacobson. You know who he is. He, the second that he got out of art school, just jumped right into magic, but he went to a school that was really just teaching illustration. And so that's another version of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Be very pragmatic about your education.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do art, go to a school that's going to teach you the art you want to do. That's going to get you employed.
You make a really good point. I think, so what you're saying is if you want to do art, don't go to your community college, go to one of the go to one of the best art schools you can find.
Right. Yeah, if you need an elective for your other degree, sure, a drawing class is going to be great. But if you're wanting to come out and get work immediately, you've got to go somewhere where it's taught by people who do that. Like it can't be a professional teacher who hasn't done a professional piece of artwork in their life.
Right, because at the end of the day, they're a teacher at your college and not a professional artist.
I agree. You need to scope out the school that not only teaches but prepares you for what's next. Because I had a lot of friends who, at my college, they might have learned the material, but the school didn't set them up to succeed and teach them real world applications.
You come to this from such a really realistic angle, and that's so cool to hear, because a lot of times people don't do that. And I also hear a lot of people who don't have two kids who say, oh yeah, I sometimes come home and try and paint, but I really only get an hour. And you're here to say, no, you can just
if
paint.
If you want it bad enough, you'll get it. Like, it's totally doable. Before I got work with Wizards, and they're not like the holy grail of illustration. There are a crap ton of companies out there to work for. It's just the one I picked because I like the world that's in Magic the Gathering, all that steampunky stuff and stuff like that. I just wanted to do that. But if you just work hard, because like when I started, I was crappy. I was not good, and I'm probably still not good. But you just have to put the hours in, and you'll get there. If you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen.
You really kind of run us into a rut with our conversation here, because I think we started with this grandiose idea of talking about self-made things and you as a person, and you're just like, oh, I picked what I wanted and then I did it. And that's really...
I think that's the whole point.
Yeah. If you don't want it bad enough, it won't happen.
You get people who want to make this whole grand idea about art and this whole myth behind it, but it's the same as anything else. If you want to get good at it, you got to do it. You got to do it every day.
Every weekend.
Every weekend,
From 8 to 3.
Every weekend. And you have, I don't know if I could stay inspired to do a painting for, I guess I have been recently, but when I was coming out of college, I couldn't have stayed inspired to just work on one painting only on the weekends. That would have driven me crazy. But maybe that's a different mindset too.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, I had very little responsibility, so
yeah,
I could work during the day and have whatever hours I wanted. But before I had started having kids, my foundational skills were there. So
right.
When it hit me that I needed to really flip into high gear if I was wanting to actually get work, I had a lot to build on, and I could just do the weekend and make it work.
So we've been jumping around. What something I really wanted to ask you? Do you view yourself as a self-made professional artist?
I'm not sure. Like, obviously I don't have an art degree. But the information, it's not things that I discovered myself. It's what work other people had done that I got from them. So, I mean, I am kind of on the shoulders of much better artists. So,
yeah, that's
everything I know I've built on from other people. So
that's one thing I really wanted to. I don't know. That's kind of why I wanted to title the episode. It's Hippocratic to say, or hypocritical to say that I think any artist is self-made. And so I really wanted to get into that.
Well, it's self-made in the fact that the time and effort put into it. The information's out there. The information's out there to be a chemical engineer, to be a lawyer. The information's there. The education's there, but it's up to you in the end.
At least the art.
Maybe the self-motivated artist. I don't know.
There.
That's true. Yeah. At least art and illustration especially is still one of the few things you can be a master in and get a job in without having an actual degree. If you wanted to go be a lawyer, without taking the bar, or getting a degree, most places probably won't hire you.
Yeah, there's trades where you definitely have to have the credentials, like the doctors or lawyers and stuff like that. So even accounting, I could have done without a degree. It's just, once you get somewhere, you learn how they do their business, and you just use your head.
Do you have fun, Josh?
I have fun.
Do you have a lot of? I mean, are you excited when you get to start a new illustration?
Yeah. I like to draw and paint, so.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So is the process fun for you when you get into it? What's your favorite part of the process once you start a piece?
Once I have the initial drawing done and the values figured out, that's when it starts getting fun. Like I just bear with it and know that from past successes that I can make this drawing work eventually, and it will get approved, and then the fun will come. So when I'm painting with when I have my sepia tone base drawing that's got the values and stuff all figured out, that's when it's fun, because I'm like, it's like this thing's really coming to life. Like I get to see it piece by piece become a reality.
I saw that when you were showing us your process. I saw your face light up the more you flipped through the pictures as you got
it's like,
farther and farther.
This is when it gets fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like finding that one thing that you're kind of looking forward to painting in the painting.
That was a rough part before working with Wizards, because I'd get stuff and I wouldn't be excited about it at all. It's just, and even now with Wizards, sometimes I get a card, I'm just like, I don't really want to draw this, so I just have to find a way to make it fun.
Yeah, man, this has been fun. I like how I think every single question we've asked you, the answer ends up being, oh, I just kind of know that I can do it, and then I do it.
I just do it.
I just do it. I just know I can, and so I put forth the time and effort, and it's done.
Do I need to have a who was the actor who had the mental breakdown to just do it? Look,
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I can get in the background here with a baggy shirt on and do the just do it thing if we need to.
Yeah, get the blue screen out.
As crazy as that was, he's totally right. You just freaking do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Just do it.
I like it. I think that's the perfect note to end on there. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Any shout outs? I mean, do you have anything else you want to, you've got an audience or, future audience, whatever?
Look for the playmats that'll be coming out soon if you're interested in that stuff.
Where can people find those?
They'll be on my website. Right now they're listed on my website. You can't buy them, as you pointed out earlier. There's no button to buy them. That'll be there whenever I actually get them delivered from Ultra Pro.
All right,
so I'm hesitant to sell something I don't physically own yet. So
okay, Josh Hass. Yeah.
Check them out.
Well, next week we've got, I think, Alex here, who's a freelance writer. He'll be joining us. Whether audio or live, we're not sure yet. Josh is going to post some things in the comments. Keep up with us on Facebook at Hanging Out with Bear and Allen. If you have any ideas, advice, complaints, want to be on our show to talk about something, get at us. It's hangingoutpodcast@gmail.com. And I think that's it. Do we have anything else?
That's it. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Oh, wait. Tweet at James Jean.
Tweet at James Jean. Tell him we're ready.
We're ready. Tweet at James Jean. Get him on our podcast. Josh?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See y'all next week.